Hi, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Beginnings. And today is August the 23rd. And hi, everyone. We are here to as usual, talk to our audience, have everybody join us and enjoy the podcast. So I have a wonderful woman who's going to talk to us today. And before I pass it on to her, I want to do a few comments about what we're about this month. This is August, and the month of August is the breastfeeding month, breastfeeding, chest feeding month. And we continue to raise that awareness because this is critical to me. This is critical to my organization, Zita's Healthy Beginnings, because what we do is support women and children. And one of the ways we are supporting women and children this month is by raising the awareness on the importance of breast milk. Breast milk is best. I encourage every woman out there to please consider breastfeeding your baby. Breast milk is the right food for every baby. And even the World Health Organization and UNICEF affirm that. And they have actually given a strong recommendation to the world, especially to women, families, for them to understand the importance of actually breastfeeding. Breast milk, again, is best. So please pass this message on to your friends, to your family. And I am so glad for this opportunity. We have the Ability podcast. This podcast is through the Ability Podcast and Transform You Network. And we are grateful for the opportunity to reach our audience through this network. And today, my friend Sharon Masahadi is here with us. And she's going to talk to us about who she is and where she got where she is today. So I am wanting to share a little bit of Sharon's bio. Sharon has a master's degree in education, and she is a vibrant woman who loves to show people how to have a better life. After overcoming depression herself, Sharon became an expert at teaching people tools and tips to lift spirits and start them on a happy spiral upward. A Bachelor of Human Development and a Master of Education, she is also certified in life, happiness, and group coaching, meditation, and adult and children's counseling. So you can agree with me that we really have a powerful, generous woman here who's going to talk to us about healing, talk to us about getting to know yourself at that deeper level, and telling us what that can do for you. So Sharon, please take it away.
So one thing I want to comment right away is that I agree with you about the breastfeeding, and especially the first 3 days, the colostrum, which is, I'm sure you've explained before that it has most of the antibodies in those first 3 days, most of the vitamins, and it's essential that the baby get that. And now that there are shortages all around the world, why would you want to depend on basically that junk, you know? Thank goodness at my time, when I had my son, it was starting to get in for breast milk and Lalesha. So they go around to the hospitals and help women to breastfeed, because if they make a mistake and give the baby a bottle, the baby might really not want to take it. the breast. And so that's a big mistake. If you want to breastfeed, you have to let the hospital know. And my daughter-in-law, she's married to my son. They've been married over a year. They still don't have a baby, but she told me already that she intends to breastfeed, no problem. So I'm very pleased to hear that. Natural is always the best way to go, especially in these times. So I consider myself a health and happiness advocate who wants to help families stop fighting and get along with each other. I work with everyone in the family, the father, the mother, if they want to put grandparents, uncle, aunt. I work with everyone and teach them to respect and honor each other. I can interpret what they say and frame it in a different way. I could say it in a better way, because you could have a son, 16 years old, and maybe he desperately needs attention, and everybody has their own problems in the family, and they're not giving him the attention that he needs. So he might say it in a rude way and say something else, say something to the mother, like about her work, and, oh, what you do is not important. But in reality, he doesn't mean it that way. In reality, he might be lonely. So we all, in 2.5 years, there's been a lot of lonely times in the family. And 70% of teenagers are really feeling it now. And that really hurts my heart. I've been an ESL teacher for a long time, English as a second language. Right now, I teach adults. But I would like to do a program with this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, by Sean Covey, and go over honoring people, things that waste your time, like bad habits, and things that are good to do for you, like to let them understand that TV is very brainwashing, like really brainwashing for so many things. They want you to think what they think, and that's it. And they make you so hungry by, they really cloud your mind with all these delicious things. And they have kind of sick things on there. They even have operations. They open up guts. They do things that are unnatural that we shouldn't even be watching. And so, and again, they make you think, they make your teenager go against you, go against family values by putting their own values there. So I always say, be careful of that. So this little class that I want to teach for 12 weeks, if anybody wants to, is interested, they could, you could say sharonmasadi@gmail.com, and we could put that in the chat later, because if you know a teen who's suffering, I'd be happy to help them on Zoom. So I can have a class on Zoom as well, because I truly want to help these people. I was very lonely myself. Not this Valentine's Day that just passed, but the one before, Valentine's 2021. I was in the passenger seat. I was seeing somebody that day. We went to a restaurant, and my mental health was so bad. We had a big fight. And then we got in the car. I didn't get to eat at my favorite restaurant. We were heading towards home. And when it was about 25 miles an hour, I just jumped out of the car. And thank goodness it had snowed, because I slammed onto the curb and hurt my foot badly. And he just said, this person is nuts, I'm out of here. And that's how mentally bad I was. I was very deeply depressed. I'm Italian, and I've had a very close Italian family, very close. And then all of a sudden, half my family in the middle of COVID, my aunt, my uncle, all my cousins, their husbands or wives, and the kids left for Georgia. They just left. Now, this is where we used to have Christmas Eve. It hurt so much. It was so sudden. And then my mother and father were afraid to go out. And my brother had COVID where he worked, which was the post office. So he didn't want to go to somebody else's house. So even though every 2 weeks we always went, they always came to my house, they didn't do it anymore. And I really felt it. I was starting to fight with them because I said, it's not worth it. I mean, yes, we have COVID, but we could do stuff, put masks if we have to, but nobody in the family wanted to see each other anymore. And I was devastated. I didn't think that that could happen. Never. You know, maybe God heard me because I bragged too many times, oh, my Italian family, we're so close. And of course, my ex-husband, I'm divorced, unfortunately. My ex-husband is Moroccan and he wanted to go back. And I don't blame him because he started telling me about television and how bad it is. And even the schools have bad things that they teach. So he ended up going back. He didn't want to have any more kids here. He was afraid of that. And so now I see it and I understand what he's saying. So I was in a terrible state and I just turned to God at that time. I started going to church in a neighbor in the next neighborhood. I have a Catholic church across the street, but I wanted to go to church in another neighborhood because they, at that moment, they sent me a little postcard in October. It was October that they said, exciting. Every month they did, like February, they did loneliness and they did something for every month. In October, they had scared and anxiety. And so that was it. I had to go because I was scared and anxious. I had been starting to read books for self-help. And also Martin Seligman had written books pro psychology, like the good psychology. Instead of always talking about depressed people, they talked about what you could do to make yourself feel better. And things like gratitude, because if you feel grateful, you can't be sad or anxious at the same time that you are feeling that gratitude. And every morning and every night, it's important to think right away what you have to be grateful for. And there's a good reason for it. So we have different brain vibrations, different waves, alpha, beta, theta, gamma. Delta is, you've probably heard, sleeping when you have delta waves. So normally when I'm talking now, I should be in beta. If they did a scan on my head, I would be in beta because I'm talking and I'm active, very active at this moment. But when you feel gratitude, what you want to do is go from beta to a little bit calmer, which is alpha. And then you want to go to theta. That's before sleeping, but not sleeping yet. And at that point, you could tell yourself things that your subconscious will believe, your subconscious will take in. So you have things like affirmations that you tell yourself. I am happy today. I love God. I have a lot of confidence today. I will always love God. I will always go to church. You tell yourself the things that you want in life. So I had written over 100. And what I do is at night before I go to bed, I write 3 things that I was grateful for that day, 3 new things in a little book. Now, this is a book you can get at the dollar store, the cutest one you can, the one that you love the most, and then start writing every night. Just before you go to sleep, when you think of your affirmations and when you think about what you have to be grateful for, it's going to go in your head so much better. And the next day when you wake up, it's important to start off the bat the right way. Now, when I was depressed, I used to wake up and have a panic attack every single morning because my son was going to get married. It was one of the things that I was going to live alone. And I thought it was a horrendous idea. I was so upset about it. And I'm alone now and I'm fine because don't forget, God is always with me. And so when I started to remember that, it made me feel better. But in those mornings, Before I started going to church, panic attack, bad one for a long time. But now I immediately in the morning, when I'm still, because don't forget, when you're waking up from delta, you go back the other way. Delta, theta, which is a little bit more awake, and then alpha, which is a little more awake, and then you finally get to beta. But if you could think of those good things while you're still in theta, even in alpha, it's going to go into your subconscious a lot. So you see that if somebody is not confident, you can't just one time say, I'm confident, and that's it, you're confident. Unfortunately, because you have two brains, the thinking brain that would say, I'm confident, and the brain inside, the inner brain, which the limbic system, which is all emotional, and it does things by itself. It makes you breathe, it makes your heart beat. And so that part, you can't just change that. If you had some things in your childhood who were bad, people who bullied you, you're going to have that in your subconscious, and it's going to think, I'm not confident. But if you keep it up with the affirmations, 7 to 10 in the morning, 7 to 10 at night. And I have made on my website 100 affirmations and also guided visualization, so that I did one for social skills, which it helps your social skills a lot if you do it every night for 30 nights. And in the morning, same thing. If you get up and you think the first thing something good, your whole day is going to be better. And if you can, please get up 15 minutes earlier than you normally would. That would make such a difference. You won't believe it. If you just take that time to think about good things, and put the affirmations in your head, then it will really work. For the affirmations, you need time. It needs to take about 30 days. But you could listen to any guided visualizations. Like I said, I have one specific one for social skills. I have another for guided, just to guide you for gratitude. And then I'm making one for weight loss as well, because I used to be really big at one time. So I want to give other people tools that I had. Tell them, don't waste your time with TV. Read the self-help books, whether it's Tony Robbins or Jack Canfield is excellent. He even has a workbook. There are so many things you could do now. So try to do those things instead of television. Try to do something spiritually. You have to have some kind of spirituality. If you are not the type who wants to go to church, you still need to feel connected with other humans. You need to feel connected with the universe, because we are all connected. Why do you think we get COVID? We breathe each other's air, and there might be air from me to you, but there's a substance there. It's not just I'm alone or you're alone. We're all connected to each other. And when you are nice to someone, it will come back, because that goes all around the world. The other person might be nice to somebody else, and etc. One thing you could do once a week is to pay it forward, which is really great. You just, if you're in Dunkin' Donuts and you say, here's $5, get the person something special that's in back of me. You would be so surprised how good you feel that whole day. You will not stop feeling good that day. And if you do that once a week, you'll feel amazing. Another thing that you could do is visualize happy things that happened in the past for 8 minutes a day. And that really works. So that's another thing that you can do. And there's so many things you could do. You could even touch yourself. If you have no one to hug you, you can hug yourself. You could rub your shoulders. You could do tapping. You just put EFT in YouTube and they'll teach you all about tapping. There's certain places you can tap to make yourself feel much better. So there are a lot of things. I hope if anybody feels as bad as I did, they get help. And my information will go in the chat. And I have a calendar as well. You could schedule an appointment or just email me because I do want to help people, and I do want to get teenagers who are 70% sad, depressed. I want to get them some help. What I felt was awful, and I feel such hope now, so much better now. I have a new business. I also am partners with somebody for offering food that's very nutrient filled, and it's coffee and all kinds of things that has absolutely no carbon footprint. So I'm proud to be associated with that company. I have a video of them on my website. And that's it. I just want to help. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for that powerful message. You have really shared a lot, and I am glad to have you today. And I'm sure that our audience are really listening. You are really powerful. You have shared your own experience, your own journey to what has actually made you to be what you are today. And you're paying it forward. You know, you're paying it forward by coming to our podcast and sharing with people and wanting to help. That is what life is all about. You know, if we have skills, we have talents, the only way we can be happy in this world is to share all that we have with other people, because whatever I have, someone else needs. So I can only excuse me, be happy and be me when I'm sharing my gifts. And then also be willing and open to receive from other people, because life is all about give and take. Something you mentioned about spirituality, you know, I don't really know how people live, especially those of them that feel they don't believe in anything. I don't know how they believe. I don't know how they live and how they thrive, because I believe in God. I'm a Christian woman, and I believe that we are human beings and we have to hold on to this God. This is our stronghold, you know, that we have to. That's the only way our life will make meaning. So for those who are not able to do that, and I know there are many of them out there who are still questioning, there's no doubt about that, especially when people have had traumatic events in life, leading to depression, doubts, anxiety. They may really doubt, does God exist, especially if they have experience that really was very personal and happened even close to them, like family or extended family. I can understand why anybody would say, is there really God? And if God was in existence, why did he allow this to happen to me? Such is life, but the good thing is God is always on the throne. If we seek for God's face, we will find it. And that's what God said in the scriptures. So I am glad that you are sharing this with us, and I am opening it up to everybody. Please unmute yourself, make comments, or ask Sharon any kind of question. And while we're doing that, Sharon, please, if you can put your information on the chart so people can, so people can find you. This is very important to us. And yes, gratitude increases our altitude, you know. So if we're able to be grateful to God, God always increases that in our lives. You know, like I like the way you stated it. If you give somebody something, that whole thing goes around and comes back to you. You know, so especially when you are being generous with your time, your money, your skills, whatever you have that will make our world a better place. As long as you're sharing it, you will see that it will come right back to you one way or the other. That is a promise. So please, I'm encouraging everybody to, if you have any questions, unmute and ask your questions. Thank you. So, and if people want to put their, make a comment or put questions on the chat, you're free. Doretta, I see you.
Yes, I unmuted and I'm stopping for a minute because I
Okay.
don't like to talk and drive.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to say to Sharon, how do you pronounce your last name?
Masadi.
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 I thank you for your transparency because right now, one thing that we're doing, I work with mentor young people, teenagers, young people, period. And a lot of them are right now suicidal from the times of the pandemic. And a lot of the things you said, things they watch on TV, things that they don't even communicate with their family members because they're hooked into, plugged into all of the things that they have on their phones. And it is very important that we communicate with each other and do things because we were made that way, you know, creatures
Definitely.
that care for one another. And it is very important what you're doing. And I just want to thank you for your transparency. And I have to say that you are right on because right now in our own church, we've had young people that have committed suicide. And that is very sad. Young lives that haven't even been lived because of so many tragedies and looking at things on TV, and it just looks like the end to them. And it's very easy with some of the things that they're watching. They even find that they hook them into things that give them depression. And paying it forward, that's the only way to live. If you are blessed and God has blessed you, it is a must that you have to bless someone else, in my mind, because we're just blessed that we're even living right now. And if we haven't been affected by COVID or whatever it is, you know, and we're still able to share things like what you're sharing with us, and we need to go out and do things for people, like doing things for people like what you said. It is so, I don't even know how to explain it. It is so great because when you put yourself out there to do something for someone, like I serve seniors as well as mentor young people, it really does give you such a great feeling. And the things that you were talking about where you want to say different positive things first time in the morning when you wake up, that works. I do it all the time. And I share that with anyone that I mentor. I share that with anybody that I speak to, because right now there's such a great big pull on even trying to get a counselor because so many people are going through mental health issues.
Yes, yes. I couldn't get one at the time. Yeah, there's not enough.
Yes, it's very difficult. I'm trying to help a couple people right now to get someone. And in between that, you know, just talking to them and giving them what I got. But it is like, I mean, waiting periods, the first appointment 6 months from now, what can happen in that time period? You know, but I just really appreciate what you brought to us this evening, and I applaud you.
Thank you, Dr. Emmanuel. So I actually put a coupon code, and it's Zita, capital ZITA, for 20% off any visualization, because I know some people, they can't pay for it. So I would like to do a free teenage class, like free forever, because why not? I mean, I can help them. And so I have people who, if they can pay, so I could pay like Wix and the credit card company and Zoom. If there's people who can help me do that, that's fine. But if there's people who can't, I know God is going to bless me, so I'm not worried about the money. In fact, I told my church that too, that I would do a free teenage class. But when they went to the teenagers, they said they couldn't find anybody, even though it's 70%, but they don't want to admit it. They'd rather just come home, eat in their room, play a video game, which studies have shown that Facebook and video games, even when you're playing with somebody else, it's not satisfying. It does not give you the oxytocin, which is critical. Just like in the breastfeeding, you get the chemical oxytocin, which the baby and the mother get that because it's so good for you. It makes you feel great. And the same thing, when you're talking to a human face to face and look in their eyes and feel the warmth of a human being, that gives you the ultimate oxytocin. But if you're online and you're on Facebook, people are being fake. They're only saying the good things. They don't tell you the truth about the bad. Everybody's bragging, oh, I have these new sneakers and this and that. But did they tell you they put it on a credit card? And
No.
it's not because you're rich. People are in debt. You know, oh, look at the fancy car I have. Yeah, did you pay $600-700 a month for it? So it gives them a false impression. Everybody has the filters and look more beautiful than what they really are. It's all fake. And you look at those people and say, oh my God, they're gorgeous. I have wrinkles. They don't. Why? Because they're using filters and all kinds of things. So don't be jealous. Don't compare yourselves to somebody. But anyway, if Dr. Emanuel would like to get in touch with me, I'll put my other email because maybe together, the both of us, we can find people for a team class on Zoom. I'm Eastern time, so I'm sure that we could come up with something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharon. Just a point of correction, sorry. I think it was Doretta who made that comment. Maybe Dr. Emanuel is still going to respond to you, but it was Doretta. Doretta is a nurse, and she has been in nursing for a long time. And she and I met when we were serving the public health, serving as public health nurses, serving women and children and doing home visiting. So we got together, and in fact, this organization was born from Doretta and our reflections, our time together, our cries, and then the prayer and begging God to really show up. So that was how we have Zeta Salty Beginnings today. And Doretta has been the backbone of this organization in so many ways. And she's also on our board. She's a strong board member and still, you know, supporting me, supporting our cause, and will be willing to do whatever. I will be also willing to do my own part to support the young people. In fact, this summer, I spent 9 weeks with another friend of mine who is engaged with trying to help the refugee and immigrants who migrated from Africa to here and come into a situation and a culture that is a little bit confusing for them. And most of them are finding it difficult to identify. So there's that whole thing of identity crisis, plus what is going on even here in the United States. So what we spent 9 months doing was to let them understand who they are originally, fundamentally, that they are from Africa. And here is what it means to be an African child. You know, an African child is a loving child, a child that accomplished a lot, a child that believes in herself, on himself, a child that knows that God is the center of their being. So this is what we have, been doing for the past 9 months now. And I know teenagers it's hard to be a teenager in this country, honestly. It is hard. I just said that to my niece, and she laughed and she said to her parents, "Did you guys hear? Big Auntie said it's hard to be a teenager." And I'm like, yes, I mean it. I mean it. Whether you're being a teenage boy or a girl, the times are different. They are coming against a whole lot. Technology that is evolving by the day. And they are being bombarded with all these adverts, all these video games. I mean, I thank God these days did not exist during my time, because what a confusion. You know, what do you expect these kids to do? We can really only pray and believe God to really help them, because they're standing against everything and anything anybody can think of. And you don't, plus you mentioned COVID. Not only COVID, we are fighting this, what do you call it, monkeypox or whatever. That's another viral. So there's a lot that our environment is throwing at us, the society is throwing at us. And how do we really get ourselves, well seated and well footed on the ground and say, God, it's only you that we know. It takes a village to really support the young people right now, especially teenagers. We are losing them by the day. You're talking about, committing suicide. Yes. Last 3 weeks or a month ago, we had two young people in their early 20s committed suicide. And this is happening in every city now.
Yes.
And they don't talk about it a whole lot because, first of all, it's a shameful thing to talk about. A life that has never started and it's already gone. But we have to talk about it because this is all we have. We have to talk about it. We have to seek a way to support them, to help them from this whole evil that is really going around, trying to really grab our young ones. So yes, I would be willing to get involved in that whole thing and contribute, do my own, bit. And I know Doretta is open to it, and other people. So if anyone has more contribution, please unmute yourself and make a comment or answer, ask more questions if you have one.
Yes, we could do an email with all of us, with you, Zita, with Dr. Emmanuel, with Doretta, Emily, whoever wants to be involved could be in. And if we pick a really good time, the students themselves should really say what's the best time for them. And I'd be happy to accommodate them, as long as it's not early with my work, but they should be at school at that time. So so my email is right there, and you could put all of our names together, and then we'll come up with something really critical for the kids right now.
Yeah, I will definitely do that because, yes, that's part of what my organization does is we try to save, women and children. Look at what is going on. Look at, Doretta mentioned about you also mentioned about it. We're talking about the mental health issues. This is like a wildfire right now. And many people are still afraid of it. Many people are still shy to come forward and own it. And that's why it's grabbing hold of many people, because it's shame, shame and blame and all that. People are afraid. They don't want to be, held responsible. They don't want to be blamed. And nobody should blame anybody, because guess what? We live in this whole world that is so challenging, that is not friendly at all. And we struggle every single day. And that's why one must put God first. And you talked about affirmation. At the beginning, you might not feel like it. You might be surprised that there's nothing you can see to be happy about. It's like, what is it? What am I, But the more you spend time in silence, in prayer, in reflection, you will understand that even the life you're living right now is something to give thanks for. Because there are people who started the year with us and they're no longer here with us. That we are still here is not out of our own doing. It is God's will to keep us alive and healthy and to help one another. So start with that. Think about you being alive, having the water, breathing, being able to take your shower. Think about those in the hospital who don't have anybody, who cannot actually help themselves. They don't have anybody except the nurses and other providers. and they might not take care of you the way you would have loved to, but you have no choice. But you're in your comfort, the comfort of your own home. You're able to eat, you're able to drink, you're able to relax. You should be able to thank God for that and look out for your neighbor or for someone else who is in need of anything simple that you're able to give or do for them, and do that with gratitude for what you've received already, and see how that comes right back to you. Because guess what? It always comes right back to you, whether you're doing good or not doing so good. Whatever you do comes right back, just so you know. That's how life is. So yes, Sharon, thank you so much for coming here today to talk to us. I appreciate your time, and I know that we have really given out that information. We have shared with people who will be both listening to us now, watching us now, or who will be listening in the future. This podcast is going to be an instrument of hope, of really looking forward to getting better, making yourself better, and making the world a better place for all of us. So thank you. And I don't know if anybody else has something to add. You can do that right now.
Yes, and anybody
Sharon, you have something to add, go ahead, please.
And anybody who has, like, when somebody hears this, they could also be involved if they want, even if it's 2 weeks from now.
Right, absolutely, because your information is down there, Sharon, and my information is here. If anyone is really feeling up to it and trying to be our neighbor's keeper, especially our teenagers, please reach out to us, whether you're needing help or wanting to render help. Please reach out to us. All the information is there on our chat. You can also connect us through telephone call or text. However you want to contact us, we are available, and we are willing to really help those that are in need right now.
Yes, and it's hard to make that first call, but don't be afraid. God is with you, and we can help you.
Yes,
I thought I heard a voice, though. Was there somebody who wanted to say something?
Does somebody want to say something? Emily, Dr. Manuel, Kene, does anyone want to say something? Or Doretta? I know Doretta has made the comment. I'm not sure if she wanted to say something.
You're still on mute, Doretta, if you want to take off mute.
Yeah, all of you are on mute. So if you want to say something, please unmute yourself.
I did unmute myself, and thank you for correcting her, Zita. I think she thought she was talking to Dr. Emmanuel.
Right.
It's true. We are all here on assignment, and we must help one another. And this thing where our children and young people are committing suicide, we have to just go and stop it. They need our help, and I'm very willing. Whatever class that you may have, we'll get together and talk about it. But thanks again, because this is something that's very serious that's going on right now.
Very serious. But God put us together today.
Yes, he did. Tonight. Yes, he did. I believe that, truthfully.
There's no coincidence in life.
No way.
There's no coincidence in life. That's for sure. Yeah, I believe that strongly. And one other point I wanted to mention that is also contributing to this issue we're talking about is when you talk about mothers, the mothers that are, having these babies and these teenagers, you want to also look into their own problems, because some of these things, they're generational. Some of these things they're being passed on, if you know what I mean. A lot of the mothers to these teenagers and young people we're talking about, a lot of them suffered mental or still going through depression as we speak. And that's why they find it difficult to actually be how be able to support their own kids. They cannot, because they have their own issues and they're not getting the help they need. And this is very critical. That's part of the problem. Dr. Emmanuel, you have something to say?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I want to use this opportunity to thank Sharon for your presentation. Very insightful, very, helpful. And I want to thank all the present tonight. Zita, I want to thank you for all your tenacity in this program. Yeah, there's something she said, and one thing we have to understand in this life is spiritual. And that is why when you have a problem of the mind, remember the mind we're talking about is a spirit. Our body is just a case. So mind is a spirit, that has, a soul that lives in a body. When the spirit of a man is messed up, the whole system, the soul and the body is not going to be in tune. And that is why I saw what she said, God is with us and we can help. But when a man has lost his focus with God, there's no much any human creature can do. That is why it is very important. Life is very spiritual and we must have to pursue it in the spirit realm. The importance of having a relationship with God cannot be overemphasized. In our society today, the rate of depression, the rate of suicide is increasing. Why? Look back to the statistics, the history of America. We have distanced ourselves from God every day. Men are beginning to worship themselves and not God. Yeah. And challenges are coming. The pressures of life will continue to increase, but it's only in God that we'll find our peace. And that is why, no matter what we do, anything that is designed by a man is bound to fail. But what God has created, what God has given to us is the ultimate. Why? Because God is a spirit and he created us in his own image and likeness. No plant can ever, no branch of a tree can ever survive if you cut it off from the tree. And that is what we're saying. If we are cut off from the source of our life, it won't be too long. We'll have a different life if we're even alive. So I thank you so very much. I know that we are doing our best, but we just have to make sure that we are connecting our people to God, to know who God is. Because the more we distance ourselves from God, the more worse things will happen. Definitely. Because the Bible says the heart of a man who does not know God is desperately wicked and deceptive. Who can know it? Nobody. So that is why it is very important and paramount that we will teach our children who God is, the role of God in their lives. All these things we are saying, teenagers, they're having problems. Teenagers are having problems. How many teenagers want to hear about God? How many of the mothers, because we are all caught up in the pressure of work, how many of them have time for God? My dear people, everyone on this platform, just like people said, there is no coincidence. In fact, I was in this program because I had another meeting, but I was driving to make sure I get home and log on. And thank God, what a wonderful topic you shared with us tonight. Well, I'm going to ask every one of us, we need to pray for our nation. We need to pray for our young ones. We need to pray for our mothers. We all need prayers. No government can solve the problem of any people because it is beyond them. And no man can give what he doesn't have. That is why. But all things come from God because he created us for himself. So thank you all so very much. I love this topic. I know we don't have enough time for it, but I appreciate the opportunity given me to talk. Thank you so much. I love you all. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel. That is true. And Sharon, when we talk about, Dr. Emmanuel mentioned that people are now serving themselves, worshiping themselves. Absolutely. All this stuff we are talking about on YouTube, games and all that, these are all man-made and they're all lies. Like you rightly said, you see people driving flashy cars. You ask them, how much did you pay? And it is people's money they're using. It is the credit card that you cannot even afford. That is what you're using. And nobody will say that to you. Like you said, all these lies, they tend to add up. You know, nobody is sincere anymore about what is going on this planet. And look at the ripple effect. Look at the ripple effect. That's what we're going through right now. So yes, time has come for those of us who believe and strongly believe in God, that higher power, should come together and see how we can help our young people, because they are really desperate. They are very desperate right now, crying, looking for help. And they're like, what have we done? What did we do wrong that we're lavishing this way? Doretta, you have something else to add?
I was just going to say thank you to Dr. Emmanuel. He hit everything on the head, all the things that I'm thinking as well. We have to get back to where we know that we have God and our Lord Jesus Christ in our lives, because like he said, people are being their own little God, little G's, and they're just not thinking. Things are so terrible. It's almost like, how can you be so blind? Your children are killing yourselves and all these things that are going on. Until we reach for where we came from, our maker, and have them in our heart, these things won't change.
Absolutely.
And
And Dr. Emmanuel made me think of something, because he said things happen for a reason. And for me, I think even the baby formula that we don't have now, it's like from God to say,
Exactly.
hello, don't you love your baby?
Yes,
Don't you want to
yes.
stay home a few months to take care? That's what the devil did that was so bad, that in the 80s, he told the women, whispered in their ears, put your baby with a stranger and buy something like that you can't afford. Go to work, just ignore him all day. You know, don't breastfeed, just have like things that's not going to help them at all. It's not going to make them thrive. And that's the trick of the devil.
Absolutely. It is.
I agree, because what we were talking about, babies get the best from mom's milk. And in the program that Zita and I both were working in, Nurse Family Partnership, that was one of the things that we always tried to suggest that they would do. And we had to give them all kind of reasons. I mean, like, you don't have to get up for a bottle. It's warm, it's ready.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost money. You're going to have your baby with better immunization and protection.
Definitely.
You know, and so all those things, we just have to look to our children and these young people and not leave them to the streets or the things that they're doing on the phones and whatnot. And no wonder they're taking their own lives. And that is just a sad thing. A life that has got so much promise and predestined purpose, and it's never being lived.
Yes, absolutely. And some of it will be interesting to know also, these people, these young ones who are taking their lives, how many of them were actually nurtured as kids, as babies? How many of them were really nurtured by their mothers, had the breast milk from their mothers, whether breastfeeding directly or expressed breast milk? It would be interesting to know that. And I'm going to really get into it and find out some of the statistics, because honestly, we have to go back to nature, whether we want to hear it or not. Nature is the only way out, and nature is who? God. God is nature.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's right.
Yeah. So thank
The
you.
research even said that breastfed babies are smarter as well.
Yes. Yeah. They have a higher IQ. And also the baby and the mother, when the mother's holding their baby at the breast, that's the exact way she should hold her, because he can see her exactly perfectly like that.
Exactly.
Not some other way. It was exactly perfect when he's at the breast, and that makes a better mind as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all made perfectly by the creator of humankind. And humankind are the only animal on this planet that will look for milk from some other animal to feed their babies.
Yeah.
Ask me who else does that? Which other animal does that?
Even an animal wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I'm so
Everything
glad.
everything that we do in this world, to me, it seems like they want it done yesterday, faster, quicker, microwave it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
hurting our children. It's
It
hurting
is
So much.
It
so
is.
much.
hurting all of us.
Yeah, it is.
And they are our future.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So let's
You
all
know?
stay friends and
Yes.
always get in touch. And I could maybe come on another time. We could talk too.
Definitely,
of course,
Sharon.
anytime.
This is going to be ongoing. I was going to say that I will have to invite you back. And who knows, please God, we're going to be taking this to a different level of talking, organizing, seeing what we can do that is tangible to support our young ones and to support our mothers, because honestly, they need support.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing. And next week, we're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And next week, we'll be having Corinne with a natural coach. And she will be talking to us. And please join us next week and hear all about Corinne. And thank you again, Sharon. Let's keep in touch.
Definitely.
And all of us, this podcast tonight, thank you all and have a blessed evening. God bless all of you. Bye-bye.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.